What if the moon was as big as the sun? When you gaze up at the sky, the sun and the moon appear to be roughly the same size, but this is simply due to the fact that the sun is 400 times farther away and 400 times larger than the moon. The Earth and the moon have orbited one another in perfect harmony for billions of years. But what if the solar system as we know it were forever altered? So in today's video, we will be talking about what if the moon was as big as the sun? Does it have the same mass as the sun, or does it have the same volume? What are the effects? Stay tuned to find out more. Comparison of the sun and moon. What are the chances that the moon and sun would appear to be roughly the same size from Earth? Nobody is aware of the situation. The sun and moon aren't always the same size as seen from Earth, which is pretty amazing. The moon and the sun, in fact, are rarely the same size. Over the course of a month, the moon's distance from Earth fluctuates slightly. As a result, the size of the moon in our sky changes constantly. The moon is far away from Earth for a portion of every month, and it isn't large enough to totally block out the sun at such times. The sun casts a shadow on one side of the moon while illuminating the other. The side of the moon facing the sun is bright, whereas the side facing away from the sun is dark, as everyone can see. We watch these illuminated and dark regions of the surface change proportions when the moon orbits the Earth. But what would happen if the sun is as big as the moon? There are several methods for determining the size of an object in space, and thus several possibilities for the moon to be the same size as the sun. The moon would physically occupy the same amount of space as the sun if it had the same volume. While it may appear much smaller if it has the same mass as the sun, it will exert the same gravitational force. If the sun's mass remains constant while the moon's mass increases and we're caught in the center, we're in the heart of a binary system, a collection of planets, moons, asteroids, and meteors, whose orbits are molded by not one, but two significant gravitational factors. Apart from anything else, this would mean a continually changing distance between the Earth and the sun, which would still be our closest star. Even if it had the mass of our star, the moon could never offer us what all the sun does, such as light and heat. So if we started orbiting the moon, which could either take us the closest or the furthest from the sun than we've ever been before, we wouldn't be able to sustain some drastic changes to our living conditions. A sun-sized moon would almost certainly cause a lot more solar eclipses, to the point where they would no longer be newsworthy. If an eclipse occurs at that time, the moon will be surrounded by a ring formed by the sun's outer surface. It's a partial eclipse, essentially. They'd be crisscrossing in line with each other all of the time if these two massive things were competing for space in the sky. Our life-giving star would appear tiny next to our sky-covering moon, since the moon's mass would not have changed, implying that we theoretically remain the same 93 million miles away from the sun. Now, it is a toss-up, but the other option there is it would almost certainly cause the most havoc. The Earth-Moon system, or as it would become, the Moon-Earth system, because the moon would now be the local center of gravity, would be the first thing to change if the moon's mass increased to match one solar mass, or what the sun is presently. If that happened all at once, the Earth would be sucked into the moon and shattered into pieces. Not good. But if the change could be instantly counterbalanced by how the Earth behaves as well, it wouldn't have to be fatal. Our planet would no longer be a planet, but rather a moon orbiting another planet. And in order to prevent that splintering fate, Earth would have to pick up some substantial speed through space. It is currently traveling at a speed of around 67,000 miles per hour. So when you're as far away from the sun as we are, this speed is ideal for orbiting the sun, which is about 93 million miles on average. But suddenly we'd only be 239,000 miles away from something with the same gravitational force as the sun. In order to live, we'd have to travel far faster than 67,000 miles per hour. Another option if the moon were to be the same size as the sun is that our course through space alters, our trusted seasons would be far gone, and extremes in temperature would become the norm. All of this implies that even if our little world somehow managed to escape colliding with the moon in the first place, a move that would undoubtedly affect its rotational speed as well, there is no way of knowing what path we'd have to take through their solar system now. There's no way of knowing where gravity will lead us now. The solar system as a whole would be transformed into a completely different shape. The tides would pose another direct threat to Earth. The gravity of the moon affects the flow of our oceans at the moment. It has the ability to create and conduct massive, gigantic waves, with moon-induced underwater or internal waves typically measuring larger than our tallest buildings. To put it another way, if the moon grew to the size of the sun, we would be annihilated by inconceivable floods. The oceans would be shifted around while boiling and freezing at severe temperatures due to our increasingly unpredictable orbit, to completely alter the world map, submerging entire cities and countries, and forming entirely new land masses. Even now, the sun, which is 93 million miles distant, has an impact on how our oceans behave. The oceans would simply never settle if the Earth were to be catapulted around a considerably closer solar mass. Now to talk about what would happen if the moon remained as large as it had always been, but now had the same volume as the sun. Well, the first thing you'd notice is that the moon has expanded to fill the entire sky. Given the usual distance between us and the moon of 239,000 miles and the radius of the sun of 432,000 miles, it would engulf the entire sky. We would be obliterated. Only if the moon moved 3 or 4 times further away from us could we expect to survive this hypothetical alteration. However, if the moon did so while keeping its current mass, the relationship between it and Earth would be severely weakened. On one hand, this would result in weaker tides in this area as well as further ecological issues. On the other hand, the link between Earth and the massively enlarged moon could completely disintegrate, allowing the huge moon to travel the solar system. So let us know what you think in the comment section below and give us a thumbs up by hitting that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on post notifications so you don't miss any updates from us. Finally, go through the channel for more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.